Hello.
All right.
Welcome to the Big,
Big
Picture,
Picture,
where we help you see, think,
And act big. And this is episode number 27. All right. And today, we have a very interesting guest. But before introducing our guest for today, which you probably have recognized, we have a new side co-host, Ruth.
Our guest from
Hi,
episode
Ruth.
25.
Hi, how are you? It's been a long time since I last saw you. But anyway, so Ruth will be here helping us interview our guest for today. Our guest for today is a tri-media personality. He's he's one of the well-known personality here in Cebu and across Visayas and even the Philippines.
Yeah, if you're from Cebu, I don't think...
You don't need an introduction. But I just like to talk.
I always cringe when I hear that.
So let's welcome Jude Bacalso.
Hello. It's probably one of the few times that I'm the one being interviewed and not interviewing people, so I'm a little uncomfortable.
We're
Hello.
We're excited to have you here because
Thank you for having me.
So Jude, normally we usually start and talk about start the episode with the origin story. How did
Okay.
you become the person that you are now?
My parents had sex, and I was the first to ever come out. No, I mean, that's
This
how
is
everyone originates,
rated
right?
PG.
No,
Okay.
we will write it rated E now for
Are you
explicit.
gonna bleep that
No,
out?
no, we're not gonna do that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I'm the eldest of 5 siblings.
Cool.
So they had sex. I came out. I was the very first one. I really tell people that whatever I am now is because of my education. So my education, how I was brought up. So yes, my parents were middle class, but they sacrificed a lot to send me to the best schools. So I went to the best schools, which not only gives you really good education, but also at this time I'm appreciating the fact that I have great connections as well, because it really matters.
Which school are these?
Okay, so I started with SBLC, St. Benedict's Learning
Yeah.
Center.
Mm-mm.
I made good friends there, still friends with them. And then my parents transferred me to Sacred Heart School, and I always be embarrassed to say, "Where'd you go to school?" Elementary. I said, "Oh, Sacred Heart School for boys." Always had to be on the side, So now it's a good thing they changed their name to Ateneo, and they're co-ed as well. So
Right.
my batch would always joke that we were the first co-ed batch because I was their only girl when we started out many years ago. So after that, after grade 6 in Sacred Heart, I was transferred to UP High School, which really was a game changer, I think, because the two schools before that were very elitist.
Right.
I mean, they're very elitist, and I was suddenly thrown into UP High School, where all of my classmates during this time, they accepted from every school. Now it's changed with there's a system that they call
Was it the privatization? Or no?
it wasn't privatization, but they did not, at some point they stopped accepting those with a income bracket
yeah.
of this certain income bracket. So they would only open it to those with a lower income bracket.
Right.
So it was more democratic back then. So you were classmates with, I loved it. We were classmates with people from all walks of life, literally, which I think was a game changer for me because it thrusts you into what really is reality.
Yeah.
If you're in a high end school, you're only you become condescending to other people.
Right.
There's that consequence that you become condescending to other people. Talk to them in Cebuano because they're the help and all that. But in UP High School, it was all equal.
Yes.
It was all equal. It was the great equalizer was that you got accepted into the UPCAT for high school.
Right.
And the myth about the UPCAT is it's very easy to pass, but it's difficult to stay in UP. That's the truth. That is the whole goddamn truth of it, because people don't say, it's difficult to pass the UPCAT. No, I think I failed the Ateneo test. I failed the Ateneo test and I passed the UPCAT, and it's difficult to stay in UP because you're thrown...
Even for the high school?
Even for high school. High school was a great preparation for college. So I'm all throughout UP High School, and then went to UP
College.
I went to UP Los Baños. I went to UP Los Baños Bukid Gapon. So
Right.
so it was the science center. I wanted to be in the science center. My grandparents lived there, so it was easy for me to transition from Cebu to there because I lived with the Davides. Um, Governor Davida is the son of the former Chief Justice. There were the branch of that family that went into politics. The rest were in the sciences. And Dr. Romulo Davide, who's a Ramon Magsaysay awardee, is married to the sister of my grandmother. So that's why it's like a family tradition for the kids to, if they wanted to go to Ublos Manos, to live with them. So in the first year, I lived with my grandparents, and then I moved to men's dorm in Los Baños, which I love the sound of. It was my grandparents who actually booked it for me. So they've been there since the 60s, 50s. So the only dorm, they did not know that there were other dorms. So there was only men's dorm and women's dorm.
Right.
So at that time, they assumed, okay, you'd fit in well in the men's dorm. So I was in men's dorm, but it was co-ed. There were 5 units.
It's just that you sleep on the other side
Yes,
of the
yes,
building.
yes. There was like
Right.
a different units to it.
Yeah.
So 3 units
But
were
there's
for
like a common
female,
area where everybody
common
can...
area,
right, yeah.
TV area, canteen, laundry. That was also game changer because studying in UP really it's like a in your face reality. I mean, you're not filtered from anything at all because you get to meet people from different walks of life. Literally, it was a game changer. So I'm glad that I went. I had my elitist background, which now I benefit from because I have great connections. I'm connected to like 90% of the people who run
Right.
run Cebu.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
Exactly.
it's 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
I know even less. I know someone who knows someone who
You're-
knows.
You're a couple of guys away from the...
Yes, from the
At minimum.
big fish,
Yeah.
right? From
Yeah.
the big fish, probably just one person
Yeah,
away.
one person
so
away.
It helps. The connections help. Your education is also it's an amazing education because you learn from outside the walls of the school. That's what I got actually from all of my 4 schools, and I had great teachers.
Which did you what program did you enroll in? Is it like...
Okay, I always
Mass
ask people to.
communication.
I always ask people to guess. They never can guess. So I'm gonna ask each one of you to guess. Is that okay? Like, what did I graduate from?
So Los Baños is famous for...
It was a giveaway. I said science center. So
Yeah.
it's a science center it's a science learning center. So
is it
Diliman
like
would be liberal
chemistry or biology?
arts. Yes,
Are you planning to be a doctor?
Biology, oh.
All right.
Biology.
Yeah.
People always assume
It's
that I was
strong-
from a communications course.
Right.
I initially enrolled in communication arts.
Right.
Because it was a non-quota course and I really wanted to get into UP Los Baños. So if I applied for a quota course, quota courses like there's only a few of you
Right.
that can come in.
That's true.
So I wasn't sure if I could get in if I applied for like a quota course. So I applied for the communications arts course, which was not a quota course. And then on the second semester, I shifted to biology. And then I majored in, you can make a guess what I majored in. Make a guess. It was because the biology program in UP Los Baños, they encourage us to go into research, not into medicine.
Right.
So they were very disappointed in my classmates who went into medicine instead. If you wanted to go to medicine, you'd go to UP Manila.
Right.
That was a course that was a path that was programmed for you. But if you went to Los Baños, you were asked to go into research instead. So instead of being a doctor MD, you were a doctor PhD.
Right.
So that was the path that was the trajectory that they wanted us to take. So we were asked to major in, there was like sub majors within BS Biology. It's not as simple as BS Biology. So I had a major and guess what I majored in. I mean,
Human
can make
anatomy.
a guess.
I don't know. Like...
human anatomy. Oh,
Is it?
Failed in it? No. That's more medicine.
Yeah, yeah. So
I study anatomy with Braille. My fingers.
hands on.
Yes. Hands-on experience, right?
Okay, so you probably major in what's like I don't know what I don't know what my classmates in biology.
Okay, so
doing.
I majored in genetics, which
Okay.
is molecular biology.
Molecular biology.
So
yeah.
people ask me, why did you pick genetics because there's the macro science and the micro sciences.
Right.
There's ecology, which is macro sciences. From the bigger picture going in, I wanted to have the perspective of from the smallest, your genes,
Right.
what makes you who you are,
Right.
to the macro.
Yeah.
Because it's easier, at least in my case, I thought it was easier for me to see the bigger picture if I saw the smallest building
Right.
block of life.
Yeah.
Nice.
Instead of from the bigger one, it's difficult for them to understand the smaller, or they might not care about the smaller. If you're a major in ecology, microbiology, zoology, those were the other majors there.
Right.
And then I took the most micro one, which is genetics, because I wanted to understand the bigger picture by seeing the building blocks.
Yeah.
And if you say, always get, wow, that must have been very difficult. The truth is, I had great teachers. I had great teachers. They only become difficult if you're a dumb teacher and you don't know what you're saying. So you make it difficult for your students because
Right.
you yourself do not understand it.
Yeah.
But if you're a good teacher, a teacher's job is to make things so simple that you will get it, right? I mean, the dumbest one in class will get it. I taught for 5-6 years in Veles when I came back. So people always assume that I graduated in Veles. I did not. I taught there. I taught in Veles when I came back.
These are like biology classes.
Yes, biology classes. I taught ecology, zoology, botany, bio one.
Yeah.
Basic
Right after
biology.
graduation.
No, it's a long story. Right after graduating, I actually worked for environmental consultancy. So there's what we call, for real estate, you would know what an ECC is, Environmental Compliance Certificate. It's required of the DNR. So I do ECC work. I do research work for the government, DNR in particular, to grant an ECC to a company. So any 5-story development above, the assumption is it has an impact on the environment. So you have to do research in order to mitigate whatever impacts there is to the environment.
So I'm actually curious, like, how did that transition, all of these transition to who you are now as the Jude Bacalso?
I love that. Okay, so I love that I do all of these things simultaneously. I don't want to choose.
Okay.
The thing is, when people ask me, why do you do all of these things? The answer is very simple, because I can. I can. And I make sure that I do it right. Everything that I do it right. I do not want to spread myself thin. I hate that when people spread themselves thin and
Right.
it becomes you sacrifice one aspect of your job because you're doing something else. And it's embarrassing.
Yeah, that's a very interesting statement because how do you know that you're spreading yourself
Too thin.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are multi-hyphenates today, right? They multi-hyphenate themselves.
Right.
I would never describe myself as a multi-hyphenate. It's just that people would always assume that you can do this, you can do that. I made sure that, okay, one gauge is when people pay you. Seriously. I mean,
that's a good one.
if people start paying you to do something, then you become a professional, right? I mean, they
Exactly.
call you a professional.
This is the the validation, right?
Yeah, it's a validation.
Yeah. So-
Because people are shelling out good money
Right.
to have you do this and that.
Exactly.
It's okay, so I have a science background, and then people assume that because I could speak English, which is an unfair advantage in this country. They would always assume that I could host. Not true. Okay, it's not true for everyone. That just because you can speak English, you can host. No, you have to throw your energy into the audience. You drain yourself. You throw it to the audience, and you have to be good at reading signs and the energy of the crowd, where you want to bring the conversation, and to make them freaking look at you.
Yeah. Before that, are you always been like this? Are you always been like out? Are you always like extroverted?
No,
or
I would consider myself quiet. But if you turn the camera on, I'm like my father actually, which
Wow.
is okay, it's funny. I read a description of my father and my brothers written in their yearbooks. And I read it and I was, my God, this is who I am. And it was just by accident when I read it. It's the same description for all my brothers. Quiet, but when you turn the camera on them, they put on a show.
Oh,
And that's
okay.
how we all are. I
Right.
wouldn't mind sitting in one corner just watching you do this.
Yeah.
But then because you expect me to put on a show, I do.
Wow.
All right.
So
Yeah.
I know.
I get that.
Yes.
Yeah, I get that because you're thinking of that you're playing a role.
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I have a background in theater as
yes,
well.
exactly. Wow.
I have a background in theater as well.
This is this like when you say you have background, you were a member of like a club
Yes.
in UP.
Ever
Was it
since high school, I was
Serenata?
in
Was it?
theater. I was in Teatro Malohocan in
Ah, okay.
college,
All right.
which is more makibaka theater. So if there's like two schools of theater, sorry if you're watching this and you disagree, but it's just repertory Philippines, which is very westernized. You know, production value this high, and there's also PETA, which is real issues. So they bring out issues and they fresh out issues through theater. And I was more PETA than repertory, although I enjoyed both. So I hate choosing. When people ask, I mean, do you have to choose? No, it's not one or the other. You can have both. You can have both.
Right. So when did you when were you thrust into the world of entertainment?
Entertainment was an accident. So from science and from teaching, I had a friend who passed away already. Orly Cajegas from Sunstar was a
Orly.
writer.
Orly
Yeah, Orly
Cajegas, yeah.
Cajegas from
Cajegas, yeah.
Sunstar. He wanted to feature me initially.
Yeah.
I don't want to be featured because I hate it when they write the wrong things about you. And it's already out there and you were quoted wrong. I was like, that was stupid. No, you made me sound stupid, or I hated that. So I said no. And as a bargain, I told him, I'll write for you instead. Why don't I write for you? I don't want to be featured. I want to write for you. So he said, okay. I had my first assignment for Sunstar Weekend magazine.
So, Jude, you talk about education and then how it influenced you, how it exposed you to different things, and then you started teaching in Vélez, in Vélez. It feels like to me that you're living like
So many lives.
so many lives
Yes.
at the same
Yeah.
time.
Which I actually love.
Yeah.
I love it because my attention span is very short.
Right.
So, which is very much like millennials of today. So
Yeah.
I can relate to
Relate.
that. So I need to keep doing something different
Every time.
all the time.
Right.
Like just this week. I was
Yeah.
just telling you, just this week, I flew to Iloilo on the invitation of Mega World as a writer and photographer to experience Iloilo and their new developments there. The day after the trip, I was being a scientist at the 6th National Symposium of Agriculturists here in Cebu. I attended that. I was also helping out in organizing it. So that's another side of me that was
Yeah.
also doing it.
Mm.
I was also attending the sessions. And then a few days after that, right when the seminar ended, I flew to Singapore on the invitation of the Singapore Tourism Board to experience Singapore as well. All for free. You're asking me, is it for free? Yes, it's all for free, and it's always the best foot forward. So you get to stay in the best hotels. You get to
Yeah.
I didn't even realize until I Googled them that it was the number one bar that we went to. It was the newest 5-star hotel that we stayed at. So it surprises you after the
Right.
fact. So
Yeah.
I like that as well.
Let's talk about that. You mentioned like you've been invited to different things. How do you get to that point?
Okay, so it's like you make
I know it's difficult to answer, but I just
well, not really difficult to answer. It's very simple actually. I couldn't afford to travel.
go ahead. Yeah.
So I designed my life so I could become a travel writer, so I could travel for free.
Right.
It's what I've always wanted. It's what I guess with the Instagram generation now, it's aspirational travel is
Yeah.
something that people save up for and then will take a break. With LCCs coming in, low cost
Right,
carriers,
right.
it has become a possibility. In my generation, when we were growing up, airfare was very,
It's very
expensive.
expensive.
Very prohibitively expensive. So you had to be really, really rich
Right.
or really, really frugal in
Or
order
take
to
take
fly.
the boat.
Yes, which was very inconvenient.
Yeah.
Right? Very inconvenient. I wanted
So-
to travel for
yeah.
free, so I became a travel
Yeah,
writer.
but there are probably a lot of travel writers in the past.
Yes.
Your time, they didn't get that opportunity.
Yes.
What's the difference? Do you think?
I was introduced to the right people. That also helped. I will not deny that. I started my career as a travel writer with Mabuhay magazine. June Ventura was the one who gave me a break. It was actually Jaja Rama, who does PR in Cebu.
Right.
She introduced me to, I think she was the one who introduced me to June Ventura. And he liked my writing style, got me to do a lot of projects for Mabuhay.
Yeah.
After which, Tara Siring, who is the editor of Smile magazine of the different airlines. So Cebu
Right.
Pacific now, Mabuhay was and is still the in-flight magazine of Philippine Airlines. Tara Siring was the editor of Smile magazine of Cebu Pacific Air. She asked if I could write for her. And I asked permission from Jun Ventura and he said yes. So I started to write for both of them
Right.
and all the other travel magazines. And I think it worked because I'm genuinely curious about things. Even on television, you can
Right.
tell if someone is just asking you questions because they're paid to ask you questions or they were given a script, or if someone is genuinely interested. I am genuinely interested.
Right.
You would think that someone who lived so many lives as I did would be jaded. I'm never jaded.
Yeah.
I mean, I always come, like, whenever I come to the same place, I find something that I missed the
It's
last
very-
time, or yes. But at the same time, I'm also a creature of habit because when I go to a restaurant, I order the same thing
Same
for
food.
years. I do not venture out unless it's for free.
Right.
I mean, that's my mantra.
Right.
I'll try something if you pay for it.
Right.
Because- so at least I won't
You
be
wanna be
disappointed
safe.
that I
Yes.
paid good money and I didn't like it. So if it's for free, I'll try something new.
So
Otherwise, if I'm paying for it, I pay for the things that I'm used to.
yeah, what you talk about was like reminds me of the word positioning, right? Because you
Mhm.
kind of position yourself, but is this something
Deliberate?
deliberate, or this is just something that you realize because you look back?
I think I deliberately positioned myself into these, but then, okay, there's a saying that always runs in my head. I keep forgetting who it is by, but it says, be so good that they can't ignore you. Be so good that they can't ignore you. That always ran in my mind. Be so freaking good they can't ignore you. Whatever it is I did. If I were to write, and you said that there are a lot of travel writers, but they don't have my voice. My voice is, well, in Cebuano, it's a lacuna because you cannot translate it into any other language. It's so igat. It's the closest would be it's naughty. I have a naughty voice when I write, so they love it when they I always find the naughty angle. My mind is in the gutter. What can I say? So I like a different angle. I always have a different angle, which I think is an advantage if you're a travel writer, because 5-10 of you are sent to the same place.
Right.
You've got to stand out.
differently, yeah.
Yes, it has to be a different perspective, and that's what I keep saying during the Cebu Pacific things that I do for them. And when I meet younger people, I tell them, you are sent to the same destination, but when you come back, your stories
you-
are all different.
Right.
Your stories are all different because it's affected, it's informed by who you are.
Yeah.
And your life experience is not the same as mine. Even if we're siblings, your life experience is not the same as mine. So your stories are always informed by your personal experiences, which means by that assumption that all the stories are different.
Yeah.
So I do have a question. Like I've noticed, and you're very confident, right? Like how are you able to?
Well, I carry it well because I have a background in theater. But
How can you like, because you have different fields, different
Mhm,
skills, different
Mhm.
fields,
Mhm.
basically, right? So how can you be confident with totally different field? How are you able to like make it?
That's a good
that
question. I
happen?
always get asked that. You find your confidence in something that other people cannot do. Like, for example, in my case, there are so many travel writers in them, but hey, I'm also a scientist. So I draw confidence from that. That you can be this, you can be that, but honey, I'm plus plus. Right? Not just the size.
Right.
I'm also plus plus because I can do this and do that as well. But it's not something that I wear on my sleeve. It's not something that I push in your face.
Right.
No.
It's an internal dialogue.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an
So
internal
there's a story
dialogue.
in your mind.
Yes.
There's a script that
Yes.
this
And
yeah.
I love it when
I like
people misjudge me, when people assume things about me. That's
Right.
why I'm blonde, because I want people to think I'm a dumb blonde. Seriously, I love it when they assume that, you're probably just good for this and good for that because you're this and that.
Right. They put
And
you in a
then when
box.
you surprise them, it's your chance to change their mindset.
Wow.
And I think that because I represent a minority,
Yeah.
I'm fat, I'm gay, I belong to all of these minorities. I represent the people of these minorities whenever I meet someone. And I only influence people within my sphere of influence. I do not assume that, I can influence so many
Yeah,
millions. No, just within your sphere of influence.
Right.
And you change their minds. I can change your mind about fat, gay, whatever people and make it positive, then I've already done a good job. I don't care about the million others because I'll have to meet them. Or you can spread it because you've done your job only within your sphere of influence. in my case, I'm happy that my sphere of influence has grown bigger and bigger and bigger as time passes. So I take it as a very serious responsibility to represent correctly.
Wow.
I mean, you
Yeah,
need to,
agree.
right?
Yeah.
Do you think it all boils down from that? Like, I couldn't coin the term, but you had that confidence, you had that, it's because of that conviction, I guess. That you
Conviction in the sense that
Is it like a mission for you?
Yeah.
not deliberately.
Yeah.
Because if you make it like a mission,
Right. So
then
it's
it
like
gets
an internal
muddled
plan.
somehow.
It's like a
Yeah. I just represent
I want to make sure that
myself
this is what
well.
Yeah.
And my hope is that everyone will do that.
Right.
Because you should be doing that, right?
Sure,
I
sure,
mean,
yeah.
represent who you are correctly to other people, and it just breaks stereotypes.
Yeah.
It breaks all the stereotypes. You can be
Agree.
this, you can be that. And I have my own personal biases. So whenever I meet people who change my mind about the biases that I have against their people, it makes me happy. I'm like,
Mm.
what the heck was I thinking in the
Yeah,
first place?
yeah.
Lumping them into this category. Muslims, Indians.
Yes.
I get to meet them all the time for work. And you have these ideas of who they are. And you
Yeah.
meet a certain,
and you break that.
yes. And you're like, what the heck was I thinking?
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing. When people meet me, I thought you just wanted to get into my pants if you're a straight guy, right? Not that I don't want to get into your pants, but I wouldn't force my way into it. You know what I mean? I mean, if you wanted it, we can talk. But otherwise, it's not it's not it's not the bottom line. And people think it's a bottom line. So change the bottom line.
Yeah, I have a question about that because, like, how did you have this internal dialogue that I'd say a lot of people have a negative self-talk, negative
okay.
feel, and then you have this is
it comes
my
from a
story.
up background, really. Both my parents are preachers. You
Right.
can just imagine that they're non-denominational Christians.
Yeah.
But my father, for a very long time, was candado, cerrado,
Sarado, right.
católico.
Right.
Because they made their money making stampitas when he was much younger and selling them. So my father,
What's
stampitas,
stampitas?
is these little prayer booklets.
I see. Okay.
So they had a printing press in Basak.
Mm.
So they would print out these little pamphlets of prayers dedicated novenas, dedicated to a certain saint. So they would go around all the fiestas and sell these. That was where they got their money, and little paper flowers for the carros. That's what they
Right.
did. So very deeply rooted in Catholic. Their money was deeply rooted in Catholicism. So my father actually memorized all of the patron saints of all the towns from top to bottom of Cebu.
Yeah.
Because that's where the
You have
next
to. Yeah, you just
meal
have
was
to go.
coming from, right? I
Right.
mean, si Santo here, Santo there. So they would print different novenas, sell them in that venue. And then at some point, I think it was midlife crisis. It was like, this is not enough. Catholicism is not enough. I want to get more. So at some point, you really need more for spirituality. Then he introduced us because I think we were as a family just brought into it. And then eventually I saw it for myself because
Right.
it cannot be forced on you.
Sure.
So I saw it for
Plus,
what it
plus
was.
you came from UP.
Yes.
And
so
yeah,
very open to that.
You kind of like
Yes.
step back from
So
everything.
you can just imagine when I say up, it's really
Right,
up
yeah.
because I'm gay. I'm always told that I'm an abomination in
Right.
any religion.
Wow.
Any religion.
Yeah.
But then I was raised by Christian parents who worship God, who worship any non-denominational Christian sect. So
Right.
we did not choose. We're not Baptist, but we worship with Baptists. We worship with born
Basically,
again
you can flow with the
Yes,
different denomination.
wherever the Bible was taught.
Exactly right.
Yes,
Yeah.
wherever the Bible was taught, then
Yeah.
we would be there. So I was raised in that wonderful environment, really.
Yeah.
It was wonderful because there were no boundaries.
Right.
You could be...
And so
in a
your mind
way,
is kind of like
it was never with
Yeah,
boundaries.
yeah.
But I don't think my parents really intended it to be that way, but that's how it happened. I was brought up in an environment that I was free, at least in a spiritual sense,
Right.
to choose
Yeah.
whatever it was. But it was very restrictive because there were so many, don't do this, don't do that, you
Right.
go to hell.
It's
it was
like
the same thing, right?
Within the sphere, you're okay. You can't get out the sphere. Yeah.
Yes. But
Gotcha.
then, you're going to hell.
Right.
Freaking faggot, you're going to go to hell.
Oh
But
my-
then, so how do I deal with that? That's when the internal conversation started.
You have to have your own just kind of
Yes,
protect yourself.
Yes, because the world tells you,
Wow.
sweetie, you're never going to go to heaven.
Wow.
I mean, we worship with all in religions. There is
Wow.
not one single religion that tells you, oh, it's okay. No
Yeah.
religion in the world would tell you that being homosexual is fine and you're going to go to heaven. They all say you're an abomination. but where does that
Anyway.
leave you?
Yeah.
So you start an internal conversation.
Wow.
You become strong.
This
Yes.
thing that kind of like
So esoteric.
negative thing that happened to you, you turn it around.
Yes.
And
yes.
this is really more of
Yes.
like, is this like self-love? Is it like, you know
It's
what?
more of denial. So
Okay.
it's like a suspension of reality. In literature, when you're reading it, you think that it's happening, but it's not. Or when you're watching a film, even if it was crude special effects, at some point you deny that it's not real and think it's real.
Yeah.
So that's a suspension of reality.
Right.
Which is a literary concept that I loved and I imbibed it deeply. So I'm like this, I'm beautiful, therefore I am.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
and you know, the thing is, I only look at myself in the mirror once a day. When I've just showered, that's when you're most beautiful, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When you've just showered, you've put on your face early in the morning. I only look at myself once. I'm beautiful, gorgeous, and it stays the whole day. If you keep checking yourself, you'll see all the flaws. So, my God, I've got this, I've got that. And then that's when you're thinking, maybe I can fix this, maybe I can fix that. TV was cruel. That's why I kind of, I'm happy that I'm not in it. I hate cameras. I'm never in my photos.
Let's talk about that a little bit. When you say TV is cruel, is it like you
TV
get
is cruel?
feedback right away? Or
Yes. Well, not
Because-
when I was doing it.
yeah, when you were doing that.
Thank God that there was no social media when I was doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Everyone has the
yes.
power.
Well, it had we had text messaging,
Right.
but it was expensive because you had to pay £1, right?
Yeah.
But if it was social media,
Yeah,
you
it's
can just
easy. It's
imagine
like-
everything.
And people can become really cruel
yes.
keyboard warriors, right?
Yes, insensitive to.
Yeah.
So I was lucky that I was doing it when social media was still in a infant stage. So we basically just depended on ratings, and my ratings were super high.
Yeah.
So that was their validation that we're doing a good job because it was super high.
Does comments like this get into you? At
Yes,
some-
they do. They still do.
Yeah.
They still do. They still
Right.
do because I'm basically a pleaser.
Yeah.
I'm a freaking pleaser.
Right.
So at some point I deny it, but the truth is I still am a pleaser. I hate it when people don't get me or they don't understand me or they don't like me.
Yeah.
Because deep inside you're like, but I'm a nice person.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
But
yeah.
then sometimes you tell yourself, oh, it, I don't really care what you think. Because if my next meal is not coming from you, I mean, that's honest,
Right,
goddamn
sure.
truth.
Yeah.
Everyone has an opinion of you. But if my next meal is not from you, sweetie, you don't matter. And then I
I-
tell myself that and I get bothered still. I still get bothered.
So speaking of confidence, and you're going from not even from like simultaneously doing TV,
Yes,
radio,
simultaneous.
writing.
Yes.
Do you always have this like, yeah, I can do this? Kind of like this. Do you always maintain that confidence?
Okay, here's the thing. Confidence has to be earned. I mentor younger people as an editor.
Right.
And sometimes they come to you with a misplaced sense of entitlement, which is confidence too, but
Yeah.
done the wrong way.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they come to you and they're like, oh, you got to give me this break because I'm so good. Oh, sweetie, let's see if you're good enough.
Yeah.
And I've misjudged people as well when they started out. And now they've turned out to be really, I'm not going to name names. I'm so happy that I judged them immediately from that attitude when they came to me. And then I gave them a little time and they improved. I'm like, thank God I did
Maybe you
not
were the
shoot them
catalyst
down.
for that.
Yes. And
Possibly,
no,
right?
they tell
You
me
were the
that.
negative.
They tell me
Yeah.
that. They were like, thank you for.
They challenged you.
Because they already had a high,
Oh,
they looked up to me.
Right.
And if you give them approval, then it matters to them and it boosts their confidence.
Right.
Someone did that to me as well when I was much younger. So it's like a circle that you have to keep going.
I think
And I didn't even realize that until they come to me and they're like, do you know that I almost quit this and that until you said, oh, you can do this.
Right.
Yeah, just give it a little time. And then I'm very dismissive sometimes because when you're busy at work, which happens to us as well, and it crushes us, right? It crushes your soul when someone says, no, you can't do it right. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't do this. And then you have to think, did I do that to someone else before? Did I crush their dreams?
Right.
And then you start telling yourself, maybe I was just being real and they didn't really know and I was doing them a favor. But how would you ever know? How would you
Yeah.
ever know?
It boils down to who will receive that and how they
Yes.
receive that.
Yeah, and how you receive
Yeah.
it. Yes.
So now, like, I'm thinking about how you built your reputation over time on different media.
honesty, I would think. So I
Yeah.
just realized this a couple of weeks ago. We were invited. No, this happened like months ago. So there was a writer from the Freeman, Dr. Alonso. Dr. Alonso is a stickler for these things. And we went to this. We were invited to taste a certain product. It
Right.
wasn't done so well. So he was looking for all of the articles that wrote about it, and he was looking if they wrote gushingly about it,
Wow.
then he'd say you were freaking lying about
Yeah,
it
yeah.
because it wasn't good. So he looked for my article, and I
It's-
wasn't gushing about it. I was just being honest about it. So he was very happy about it. And he actually singled me out. He's like, I was looking for your article. And if you started to talk about it, like gushing about the product, I would have called you out.
Right.
But he said you were keeping it honest. And he knew that I was friends with the owner. So I was just being nice about it.
How
I
does
was very
that balance with you
diplomatic.
being a pleaser and at the same time being honest?
I think honesty above all.
Right.
Yeah.
you
Because
pick
that's
that.
you were asking me how you keep that reputation.
Yeah.
People respect my opinions because they know I don't bullshit about it. I'm
Yeah.
very honest about it. So even when I recommend something, then my recommendation is enough for some people. And
Right.
I love that. Like
Yeah. You trust it.
Yes, they trust my opinions because I don't bullshit about it. And they know that I get paid to, like, I have paid endorsements, but I would not endorse anything that I haven't tried, or because I have very high standards.
Yeah.
So if they came up to that standard, then they're doing a good job.
So, Jude, I felt like this is an episode that cannot be contained. I feel like the whole
I
story.
feel like this is an episode that should involve alcohol.
We'll drink. That's a very
Yeah.
idea.
Instead, we're having vegan food.
I like it.
That's novel. Okay.
Yeah, this episode, something it can't be contained in one episode. I feel like I want to, like, oh, this is like so. I have so much question
Mhm.
regarding what you do, but what's next for you?
Okay. What is next for me in terms of technology? Because
Technology
it's like,
and
yes.
career
Yes,
and yeah.
yes. I get with my work with Cebu Pacific, I always am thrust unknowingly into the cutting edge of people who are in social media. So I've met all these leading vloggers because of work,
Yeah.
and they keep telling me that I am a natural for that medium
Yeah.
because I've already done TV.
Right.
I already write, so I write stuff in my mind already. I don't
Yeah.
need a writer, which is how they do it. I mean,
Right.
they don't write a script and shoot themselves.
They invent as it goes.
Yes, I
Yeah.
mean it's all it's something that they come up with on
Right.
the fly,
Yeah.
which I've been doing on TV. And
Yeah.
what is next is really a natural progression. I would think I'm experimenting on how to do a vlog, but my only thing with vlogging is I want to learn how to edit, because with
Yeah.
photography I learned how to do it.
Right.
I already knew what angles I wanted, but I wanted to play with light, and I'm slowly learning about manipulating light because I want the results to be good. And the only way you can do that is really to learn it, respect the artwork, respect the method, and then you get good results.
Right.
It's the same with the vlogging. I really want to edit myself.
Yeah.
My problem with television for many years is that the editors, if they're not thinking editors, do not get the nuances, do not get the humor. They cut out the important parts.
Yeah.
So that's very frustrating as a host. It's very frustrating. In writing, a good editor makes good writing brilliant. That's what a good editor does. Good writing becomes brilliant because of an editor. It's the same thing with video. A good editor makes a good host even more brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've worked, this is name dropping. So I've worked with Gerald Tarog, who did General Luna. So in one of his early movies, it was called Confessional. I was part of it. I was the last scene in that. It was like Marvel-esque after the credits last scene.
Yeah.
I was that. And I loved it because he just turned the camera on and I just did my thing, talk, and that. And then when he edited it, it looked and sounded so much more brilliant than how I intended it to be. So that's what a good editor does. I'd want to learn how to do that, to splice all my stuff, because what we've seen with vlogging is you can use any medium. It doesn't have to be an expensive camera. You can use your phone camera if you splice it really well, if you edit it really well, and the software is already available. So I'd want to learn how to do that if I can find the time. But I really want, I think I need someone to actually teach me how to do it. Because my brain works that way. People always say, like, a guy would always tell you, look it up in YouTube. I
Right.
cannot learn things on YouTube. Like, it's like the female side. Oh, I don't want to
It's the
stereotype,
I
but
think it's faster if because it the experience becomes like more complete if someone
if
is
someone's actually
yeah
there, right?
yeah
And for me to try it
But
out.
then again, that might be the different intelligence, right? Like
Yes, I do not have that
Yeah.
that intelligence. It has to be like taught to me exactly.
sure.
So it's sorry to stereotype. It's not a male female thing. It's a different intelligences thing.
You're now traveling. Are you
Yes.
gonna document that in
I'd
video
want
form?
to.
You want to?
I'd want to. In fact, my next purchase
Mm,
will be a stabilizer because it really
yeah.
makes a yes for the phone. Because I don't want to. I already have a camera. Fujifilm gives me stuff. Thank you, Fujifilm. And so I'd want to learn how to do the stabilizer because I'd want to improve on the visuals.
Aside from like that the technical skills,
Mhm.
what else is there? Anything else that's stopping you from moving forward?
It's not money because everything, if you really commit to it, you only need the minimum.
Yeah.
And it's already available now with technology the way it is.
Yeah.
It's already available. With my connections, it's even easier.
Yes. Yes.
Because I can get sponsored. I already know the people who want to do
Yeah.
that. So I guess it's time. I'm lazy. I'm old and lazy.
but you've always reinvented yourself, right? I mean,
Mhm.
this is a common theme, like that we've heard from you. You've always been like working on things that
Because I've always
Yeah.
been lucky to be thrust into the cutting edge of whatever it is that's happening.
now are
like
you
the
being thrust-
zeitgeist.
Do you feel like you're being
Yes.
forced more and
Yes.
more to evolve?
Every year at the Cebu Pacific One for Fun Challenge, they do this campaign every year where we encourage the younger generation of travelers to travel right, to do it the right way. So we give 5 teams from all across the nation a free trip for a week
Wow.
anywhere in the Philippines for them to experience it.
Yeah.
And they document it, they experience it for themselves, they tell people how it is because we want to encourage you. This is the replacement audience. The people who are flying now are dying out. You have to start now by cultivating the right generation. I mean the right attitude for this generation. So I'd love being on the cusp of that change, seeing it happen in front of me. And there's these people who are always like join me in this endeavor who are on the cutting edge of vlogging, who are doing it for the passion. And I love that Cebu Pacific chooses us
Right.
for our positivity. It's always positive people. People are also on the go.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
I mean, you look at the roster of people that we have as
Yeah.
influencers, as digital media influencers in Cebu Pacific, and these are people who did it not because they wanted money, but because they wanted to do positive change. And then Cebu Pacific noticed, and now they're getting sponsored for it. So
what makes them different
positivity.
from all the travel vloggers out there?
They truly are genuinely interested in what they're talking about. They really are. That's how they started, and I'd be disappointed if they sold out.
Yeah.
They do have endorsements, but they have integrity. They
Yeah.
still keep that. I mean, I have the same thing. I have endorsements, but I like to keep it as honest as I can. There are projects that come to you and you wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, and I still don't.
Yeah.
Even if the money is good, I still don't. Because in the end, I mean, you have to look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
If you muddle your reputation, it becomes muddled forever. So don't even start. Don't even start. You have to do it honestly. There's positive and there's negative. There's shock value, but shock value only lasts for so long. Intelligence.
You can
will
ride a
win.
viral
Yes.
post for some
Yes.
time, but
yes.
then you're gonna have to wait for the next wave.
Yes. Which is difficult to do.
Right.
I mean, how do you follow up an orgasm like that
Yeah.
with another orgasm? And if you have multiple orgasms, straight up, it's painful. Oh, sweetie, I've done it. It's painful. Right? And I mean, in
Yeah.
terms that you can understand.
Right.
But if it's a process that you respect and it's in a good level, it's the sweetest tantric sex you'll ever have. Right? You've got to pace it. You have got to pace it.
Okay, so being there in the limelight, right? What are
Limelight.
Oh. Yeah, but you're always in the public eye. Now, if you're moving to vlogging, there's gonna be more eyeballs
Yeah.
on your content.
Which I don't really like because with this generation, like people think that their opinions have to matter.
Right.
have to matter, have to matter, have to listen to me, have to demand attention now. I don't think that's right. You have to earn it.
Yeah. Well, in the
People
big
have
picture,
forgotten
we
that.
don't care about the the negative comments, but
Yeah, we were trying to be as genuine as possible.
Mhm.
Like integrity, like whatever comes out,
Yes.
that's it, right?
Yeah.
So,
When people start paying you for what you do, you're doing a good job.
yeah.
yeah, that's
Yes.
the ultimate
If
feedback, I
they
guess,
start
yeah.
paying for you, I mean, that's how it started with me.
That's one of the validation.
Yes. Even when
Awesome.
I was,
Yeah.
even with just the hosting.
Awesome. Yeah.
When I was starting out, I was so embarrassed to, like, "Will people pay me 2,500 to host?" I was just, we're talking 2,500. And I was so worried if they would shell out 2,500
Right.
for me to host. And then eventually I got bigger and bigger
Yeah,
and bigger and bigger. And I love it when people say, I mean, it's a good thing when they say, mahal naman kay Sharon. Yeah, because I'm doing a good job.
Yeah. That's
And,
true.
you know, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. And honey, this ain't a monkey.
Right.
I mean, I always believe in that.
Yeah.
In Cebuano, baraton man gyud ka. I always get compared. What? The other host only charges this much. Then go to that other host. I mean, you know?
Right. So I do have a question, like my final question, basically. So you've mentioned before that you're jack of all trades, right? So do you ever worry about like
I don't
whatever
consider
your-
myself one. It's my mother who keeps
Yeah,
branding
it's
me
your
that.
mother who
Yeah.
keeps telling you that. But do you ever like worry about where the money comes from? Like,
No, never.
So you
Never.
never had, because you're in this.
I only have
lifestyle.
enough.
That's a good question.
I only have enough. And so that's where my practical side and the spiritual side comes in, because I always say God has always taken care of me.
There was never a time.
There was
you were
never
hungry.
yes. God has always taken care of me. And my mother makes sure that my faith is still there. She reminds me, it becomes irritating, but then it's become a part of my life. You know, he has always taken care of me. So my faith is still intact because I've never had a time in my life. Of course, I've had low points. I've had low points if you're talking about financially, because I don't really have like a
stable job, like
yes,
you call it, right?
yeah, like every 15th and 30th you get paid. No, money comes and goes with me, but I've never had to want for anything. I've never had to want for anything. There's the convergence of whatever happens in my life and the practical point, and also faith.
Yeah.
So just that's how I live my life. It's always, you don't think that these things would ever come together, but they do all the time in my life. So I don't really think you have to choose.
I know I asked this earlier off the cam, but do you have something that you're truly passionate about?
That's the thing. No, because I don't even have a dream. People always ask me, "What is your dream?"
Really?
People, because like if you ask someone who has not achieved that, they can answer that very quickly. Oh, my dream is this. But who are we kidding? I'm living a dream life.
Yeah.
I'm not even bragging about it. It's the reality.
Right.
I do not pay for airfare. I fly for free anywhere I want.
Yeah.
I travel for free. I eat for free. I get all of these perks with so little effort. Well, not really. I just make it sound like it's little effort, but I work hard at it. Yes, I do work hard at it. So I don't really have a dream because I feel like it's unfair for me to demand too much.
Unfair to what?
Unfair to God. Unfair to...
So you felt like you received a lot.
Yes,
already.
I have received a lot.
Yeah. Okay. That
I
makes
have
sense.
received more than I asked
That makes
for.
a lot of sense.
I guess I make it look too easy, which sometimes backfires on me.
Yeah.
Because people are not willing to pay those rates because, but you make it look so easy. Oh, sweetie, then do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
Do it yourself if you think it's easy. And then they come back to you like, oh, yeah, you're right. The first time that it's not that easy. Exactly. So pay me this good money. I'm lucky because I live in Cebu. I'm lucky because I live in Cebu. I can afford to live on very little. Right? If I were in another place, Manila, I lived there for 15 years. It was difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, but I managed. So don't want too much. You have got to be patient. You've got to be patient because it's like this generation, the problem with this generation really, I'm sounding like an old person. The problem with this generation, but it really is true because I get exposed to younger people all the time.
Right.
They don't feel like they have to work for it because instant fame is granted to you by the internet.
Yeah.
I had to work for all of it. So that gives you longevity. If you are insta famous,
Yeah.
you're also insta dead in just insta seconds. right? I mean, it lasts
Cool.
only that long, an instant length of time.
Yeah.
But if you work on the quality of what you do, you work on old school values, on old school hard work, then it gives you longevity, and it makes you weather all of these fads. Like I have, I'm freaking old school, but I can also do whatever the young ones do because I understand where it's coming from. I know what people want. Information is very important. You've got to give them the right information. Shock value is for a certain number of people. And I'm sad that this generation, oh, there I go again. This generation, their affirmation is likes, right? I mean, they put value on the likes. Here's how Cebu Pacific explained to me why I'm a digital influencer. Even if I do not get the amount of likes, they do not measure it from that. So they have sophisticated methods that I'm not privy to, but they always look into your influence. If you influence the right people, then you influence more. So in my case, as a very, from a very practical point of view, if you ask me how did it get to that point that a major airline would back me up this way, it's because I'm followed by people who are followed by millions. My opinion matters to this famous person. She or he retweets it, then it eventually, just extrapolates on my
So there's
cachet. Is it cachet or cash?
Yeah.
My internet cachet.
Yeah.
So it blows up from that.
So there's like influence the basically your influence.
I influence the influencers.
Yeah.
Influencers. It's
Yes.
amazing. I've never met somebody
Yeah.
that-
So
Awesome.
I don't consider myself an influencer, but then since I meet them through work, they follow me. I don't
respect your opinion.
respect my opinion, so it matters to them. Then it blows up from there.
Awesome.
So it still boils down to the fact that you have to practice integrity.
Yeah.
If people get a whiff of, oh, you're not honest about these things, then they'll stop listening to you and you stop existing in their digital world.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Because it's a click, click, click generation. If you don't interest me, I'll click to the next one. Why do I need to or unfollow you because you bother me with your opinions? I do that all the time. You're irritating. Unfollow. Right? So it's so quick to do that in this generation.
Okay. So we usually wrap it up with like
what are
Lightning round? Okay.
nah, the next one is lightning round. But this one is like Dave's take and my take.
No,
yeah,
Yeah.
lessons
Lessons that we learn. Dave,
So-
you wanna start?
Yeah, so I think really simple. I think what I got from Jude here is that I think the believing, like I don't know if she mentioned it explicitly, but I would say that that belief in herself,
Yeah.
and also it turned into trust. I think she trusts the whole process,
Right.
and I don't think if you have that, I think you walk in this world very powerful because you don't have to worry about anything else. If you trust yourself, trust that everything will fall. Even God, if you trust God, that it will provide you with anything you need or everything you need. I think that's
No, because
very-
people think it's so uncool to mention God or faith, right?
Yeah.
It has never been uncool to me. It's never been uncool.
I mean,
to
we're
me.
very open here. We
Yeah.
actually mentioned that, so that's mine.
Mine is, I would say, authenticity, big time. And so what I can see as like a common theme is like just be straightforward, just be real. People will love you because you're true, right? Because you're real. And there may be other people that would not appreciate it.
It's
In the
their
long
loss.
It doesn't matter. Basically, no.
Yeah. For our audience who we discuss a lot of things in this.
This is the
episode.
longest episode in the big
Yeah.
picture. This is like 1.5 hours, I think.
All right. So if you have any lessons learned that we haven't seen, please comment it.
And
share
I
it
feel
to
like we're
us.
not done yet.
After
After 1.5
we have so
hours.
many things to talk about.
I'm
so
not
I
done
think-
yet.
We can continue the engagement in our
Yes, yes.
Groups. All right. So we move on to our.
Lightning round.
Let's drink water for this.
Okay, the first question, Jude. Describe to us your typical day.
Nothing is typical with my day. Depends on what I'm doing, which I love. I do not want a typical day.
Right.
But I wake up, my biological clock wakes me up at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
If I'm not doing anything, then I go back to sleep. My writing time, I have a writing time. I
Yeah.
can only write when I wake up in the morning. So that's like 7, 8, 9.
Mm.
Usually my deadlines are haunting me at like 12 o'clock. Please submit by 12 noon, by 12 noon. So I set it out, I email. I can only write a single article a day. It
Yeah.
drains me if I write too
More.
much.
Yeah.
So I cannot do like I used to be in the newspaper full time. It was like 6 pages that I had to close every
Every day.
single day because there are only 4 days in a year that have no newspaper. You can imagine the amount of work, but I loved it. Every single day, 6 pages. I had the most number of pages. So I got out of that. I write, I email. In the afternoons, my work, I love it for emceeing is only in the weekends. Most of the time, it's only in the weekends. So Saturday, Sunday, weddings, corporate events. So I do have my own time when I do that. Well, not really, but then it's mostly in the weekends. And then the science work, I do it at my own pace because it's mostly field work and then writing the report after. So you don't have to log in or log out for that. So depending on whatever task I'm doing, it's a combination of that. But my writing time is only in the morning. I cannot write in the evening. My mind is black in the evening. I need my alcohol in the evening. And yeah, so that's it. But there's some days that I do not go out of the house at all.
The next question is what or who inspires you?
Ooh. So I always meet someone who inspires me. Just in Iloilo, I met someone.
Oh
and
my
then
goodness.
I'm kind of debating now if I should message this guy first because I've never done that. But all of my guy friends tell me, why don't you try messaging him first? And I'm like, I don't think so because I'm really bad with rejection. Really bad with rejection. I'd be crushed and I'd end up hating him and cursing him and being psychic. He might end up dead, right? So I don't want to do that to him. So I don't know. I'm not deciding, but I'm still deciding if I should. So if it's in a romantic sense, then it's that guy for now. But in any other inspiration, I love people who change the mindset. I love people who challenge your concepts of what is right and wrong or what is normal and what is not. If they go against it and they do it successfully, they make an impact, and you begin to tell yourself, oh, so it can be done that way. It can be done that way. So those are people that inspire me. Science, because I live in so many worlds, there's so many of those people everywhere. So you just have to be open to what they can contribute.
So this is a question we normally don't ask, but like, is there a book recommendation or a show recommendation or
Book.
something? Yeah.
Okay. My favorite book, it always changes, but I have like the one book that really changed the way I thought, and I loved it, is The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy. That was her first novel. And then after like 20 years, she wrote another one. So I haven't read, I do have the copy yet, but you have to sit down and enjoy her because in my opinion, her prose is the closest to poetry. It's amazing. And she's an Indian author. She stopped writing fiction because she devoted all her time writing essays about the environment and issues in India. People were asking, where's Arundhati? Why has she stopped writing? And it irritated her because like, I've never stopped writing. I just stopped writing the things that you wanted to read. But I've never stopped writing. I've written about issues and all that. And then eventually, after like 20 years of that first award-winning novel, she comes up with another novel. And I was crazy about it. I pre-ordered. Now that it's in my possession, so that's how I work. And now it's in my possession. I haven't read it yet because I've read only like a few pages. But the first one, The God of Small Things, gets you... I've always been biased against Indians. But then when I read that novel... they're so similar to the way Filipinos think. So it's that similarity, that thread that connects us as people that always fascinates me. You always say, oh, you have nothing in common with me. And then you get to know someone that, we have that in common. So we just need to find that thread that runs through all of us, right? Because you could be this and that, but we always have something similar. If people just realize that, it would be a better world, really. And travel helps. Because if you have not traveled, you don't open your mind to these realities. You do not get to meet new people. You're
That's why I
always...
travel a lot as
Yes.
well.
But you have to travel right.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't just set an itinerary, you listen to people. It's your opportunity to listen to other people's stories. The cab driver has something to teach you. Oh, okay, show. Wicked. I love Wicked. I love Wicked. Well, because it's about someone who was told you're ugly or you're not. I mean, I am so alpha buff. But I'm also Glinda.
Yeah.
So, I'm both. When my friend first introduced me to this, she said, when I asked her, what's the show about? And she says, it's so difficult to explain because it's not clear cut who the good guy and the bad guy is. Because they're both. They're both good and bad. And I was like, that's so me. So I cried when I was watching it. I read the book as well. So different. They Disneyfied it on stage, which I loved also because there's a part of me who's Disneyfied. I mean, heck, I grew up around Ariel and all the Disney princesses, right? But then there was also a part of me who loved how salacious and how dirty the book is. It is so filthy that I loved it. So I love both. I've always there's no dichotomy when it comes to me. I love both.
Okay, next question. Do you consider yourself successful?
Success is always measured if someone was just asked this. I was watching I think I think it was Whitney Houston, a Netflix documentary on it. Are you successful? No. It was fame. She was asked about fame. I would not consider myself successful because I haven't really accomplished all that I've set out to do. Having said that, I haven't really set out to do anything. I did not deliberately set out to change the world. Like I said, it's only within my sphere of influence. Only within your sphere of influence. That's the only success that you have to gauge yourself at. Because if you look at the bigger picture, have I influenced like 1 billion people already, or 2 million, or 3 million? It never stops. It never stops. So only within your sphere of influence. In that case, I have. Because my friends, in my close circle of friends, already have a mindset that I'm happy with, which I help change. That is a success. As you increase your sphere of influence, that's another success that you have to conquer. So it never stops. So you have to work still. So no, I don't think I'm a success. I'm a work in progress. Everyone is a work
that's
in
a good
progress.
answer, yeah. So
Miss Universe.
so my question for the lightning round is that we started a podcast basically because we want to help fellow Filipinos see the big picture basically.
Mhm.
So we have a lot of Filipino brothers and sisters who try to go abroad to work, like, be stuck in a job and send money here, or even here we're stuck in a 9 to 5 job, or 10 to what 10 to morning job that doesn't love their job and all. What is your advice to, like, you who is living a lifestyle
If you're not happy with your job, if you're not happy with it, you will not do good in it. Find what it is that you're happy with. Whatever it is, it will emanate from you. And once you're happy with doing something, you can generate the money from that.
is that like
Yes.
a guarantee?
Yes, because if I stuck to something that I wasn't happy with, I'd be in a grind. I would not be happy if I was in customer service. I wasn't happy with it. It would affect my job. I would be cross to you, and that would reflect badly on me. So quit your job. Don't stop telling yourself stories that, oh, but I have to pay this and that. You'll find it somewhere else. You will find it somewhere else. Life is too short. I know that's a cliche, but life is too short for you to be stuck in something that you do not love, because it will always come out. Seriously. Because that's the same way with me. What if I move to this city, because I've moved cities so many times, and apartments and places to live at, it's always that first step that is daunting. Once you've done it, then you can see that you can actually do it.
Awesome. Yeah, so
Last question. It's the most difficult question in the world.
God. Okay.
Where can people find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram.
Instagram.
I'm very easy to find because I'm like, my phone number, I've had it for 25 years. I haven't changed
You haven't
numbers.
changed numbers.
I don't understand why people keep changing numbers. Am
Yeah.
I hiding from something? So you can find me on Instagram. It's at Jude Bacalso. So JUDEBACALSO. My Facebook is the same. It's Jude Bacalso. So I don't have aliases. I'm only known as Jude Bacalso. That's it. Although there are 4 of us in the Philippines, actually. I researched it. How many? Because we would often get confused. Funny thing is, this one guy, Peter Jude Bacalso, I think, is working for Napocor.
Right.
And we kind of move the same circles in the environmental sector. And he would get like jobs or projects approved because Development Bank thought he was me, and I was working with them. So
Lucky
like,
guy.
yeah, and probably somehow I've also benefited from the fact that people thought I was him.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's funny. I don't have a website. I might start a blog. Who knows? I
Yeah.
might. Someone gifted me with a blog many years ago, Max Limpag, but I never used it. I never knew how to. I was too lazy. I might this year.
Awesome.
And Twitter as well.
All right.
Jude Bacalso
Twitter,
also.
Jude
Yeah,
Bacalso.
so
Okay.
this is episode 27.
27,
right? So
and we're
you can
putting
find all of the links, all of the books that Jude Bacalso mentioned. So except her number. We won't give out her number.
Yeah.
The big picture.ph/episode 27. All right.
All right.
This is a very long episode. But very
I feel
full.
like we're not yet done, but at some point we have to stop because we might end up, the next day
You might end up paying Jude for
and paying Jude for his time.
Or at least alcohol.
Or alcohol. All right, thank you guys for watching this episode with us. Please follow our YouTube channel. And then, just like to say thank you,
to
Live Life for the space. And we're now at the Access eating good food. Thank you guys.
I think that's it. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel, wherever you find us,
and,
iTunes.
and then engage us in the community
Spotify,
page.
please.
And
Everyone's on Spotify. At least add the podcast.
Yeah.
If you're a Filipino, you should add
or
the
even
big
if you're
picture.
not Filipino.
Yeah, the big
Vegan
picture.
halo halo rocks.
All right, guys, thank you so much. Goodbye. Episode
And
number
27. Bye bye.
Signing out.